You see this gaggle of guys over here? This is the Jefferson County Green Band.
Nice.
Yes. Yes. And this proves it, by the way. There's a
test.
CD that these fine gentlemen recorded over at the Sondheim live album, and we'll take a peek at this later and talk about it later. Welcome to Fairfield 2.0. I'm Mike Ragogna, allegedly. And this is going to be... I don't know what this is going to be. We're going to see what this is in mere moments, but I'm going to introduce everybody, and we'll just let them kind of take off. On the end here, we have Ed Raines, sax player on... the thing is, it's Fairfield, so everybody plays on each other's projects, but Ed, I think I've seen on more people's projects, except for David over here, David Hurley, we're going to get to him in a second, than anybody. Ed is just an amazing guy, and he was Clarence Clemens at the Bruce Springsteen tribute recently, and... I think there were moments where Clarence might have been in heaven like this, and all of a sudden he might have been looking down going, huh? So he did a great job. That was amazing. Now we got Tim Duffy back here. Hi, Tim.
Hey.
And we're going to have everybody talk about their instruments and what they do, because everybody does different things. And also we have Steve McLean. Steve McLean, singer extraordinaire. David Hurlin, who's never been on this show before, or is it 2 other times? Not sure. And also we have Kevin Riley. And I'm just going to jump ball. How did this band form? Somebody go.
Well, I was doing a solo thing for a lot of years, and was really getting tired of that, and I was in a bunch of different jam settings at other people's jam rooms and stuff like that. And finally, I put my own jam space together, and that's what did it. I invited Kevin over and Tim Carey at the time. Eric Winheim was on drums. And that's how we started the group.
April
and then
20th.
April 20th.
19...
No, it's 2000, 2001 or 2.
2000, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
and we got that marked because we got the police report to
To prove it.
True story.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so then it's sort of about, it's 13 years? 11 years, rather. Whatever the math is. Who does math these days?
I think we figured it out the other night that we're coming up on our 9-year anniversary.
Okay. So the odds.
So-
Okay.
As this.
So for those, as this configuration, including David and yes?
Not really.
No, it's been about 9 or 10 years, I think, since
Yeah.
we started it out.
Somewhere in between 9.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
So
Although our
that settles
anniversary,
that. Good. We got
our
that out of
anniversary
the
is
way.
coming up. Our band anniversary
Why don't you get
is
that
coming
police
up, so-
report out?
Yeah, really. I think I have it actually in here.
Yeah.
It was supplied to me by. What is your? Okay, if you were to describe your music in one sentence or less, how would you describe it? Everybody, Ed.
Roots rock.
Rock and country, reggae, blues.
Yeah, roots rock and soul.
David.
I think that it's like, roots rock, country, feel good, soul music.
One sentence. Very good.
That's right. That's where you put the period. That's all.
Just great songwriting, and we jam it out as hard as we can.
Okay. You get together and you jam it out as hard as you can. Is that where the songwriting happens? Do you all collaborate on like a piece at a time, or you all bring stuff in?
Not generally. Steve's usually got some ideas floating around in his head when he shows up.
Basically just write songs from my life experiences, and sometimes the jam comes first, and then I apply words to that, or vice versa.
All right. I know you guys play elsewhere, because I think it was my birthday. It was 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago, when I saw you guys play in Burlington.
At the Drake.
Yeah. So, you've been playing all over the place forever, and you're based here. You're based out of Fairfield. What's the experience like when you're leaving? We know what the experience is like in Fairfield, playing in Fairfield. We don't have to. We've done this ad nauseum with like everybody who comes in here, and everybody says, "Oh, it's wonderful, it's blissful, and all that." Okay, fine. Now, as you're getting out into the area, as you're getting out into like this, how are they reacting to the music? And do you shift according to like you know your demos now? You know your demos when you're going to, let's say, Ames, or when you're going to Burlington or wherever. So your songs shift, your track lists, your set lists. what would you say? What are some of the experiences? What are some of the things that you have to sort of change up when you go to certain areas outside of Fairfield?
I don't.
Or do you not change anything up?
It has
really
it
do.
has more to do, I think, with the amount of time we have to work with. There's a big variance, whether it's
Okay.
it could be a 4-hour show. We're playing everything. We're just throwing everything that comes up
Okay.
out there. But then there's a lot of these 40 minutes or an hour-long set, and so then we start to really construct it a little more. But
Yeah.
Do you play more as the main act, or do you play a lot as an opening act for other acts? How does it work?
All sorts of things.
most of our time's main act.
Yeah.
We look forward to opening it up for larger national acts.
Yeah. Those are a lot of fun.
However,
Yeah.
we just won 3 Battle of the Bands in Des Moines.
There you
the last
go.
2
Yeah,
months.
get
All
us
right,
Des Moines
say
bands.
more. Say more. Des Moines Battles of the Bands. What was that like?
They're all really different. This last one's ongoing. It's a Jeopardy-style battle. Last Thursday we won cash prize, but now we have to defend our title against 3 new bands tomorrow.
Cash prize?
Yeah.
Did I tell you there's a fee for coming on this show?
No, we spent it on our bar tab that night.
That's how we want it.
But,
And they know that too. No? They know the money's going to get recycled right back.
It's a little different than the way we work it in Fairfield. Yeah.
They were genius in setting up their battle, for sure.
All right, now you did this album, this fine album, recorded live at the Sondheim. What year was this? How long ago?
2009.
2009. When you did
10.
this, album, did you you whittled it down to 13 songs? Oh, and you have Arthur Leland on here.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh my goodness.
How does that work?
Quite a
He
treat.
was frightening.
Magical.
Magically,
Yeah, just
okay.
shows up and does everything right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays really good. Of course, his B-bender guitar style is so much fun for us.
Yeah. Goes well with the country and
Yeah.
we never rehearsed anything together or
No.
anything like that.
Well, he's also very good. I've been trying to get him on the show. He's waiting for his voice to get to some superlative level before he comes on. He's having some voice stuff going on. So, but we're going to get him on. I promise Fairfield we can get him on here. But the color, that only proves the point, though. It's like, okay, him jumping on stage and playing with you on some songs. And this also proves the point. He's like, hi David, back again. There's a lot of intermingling with Ed and Ed. There's a lot of intermingling with the acts with different players all the time. And what do you think? Is that adding to when you look at the whole canvas of musicians and artists that are in town? Is it improving? In your opinion, is it improving the different kinds of appreciation of different kinds of genres? Or is it the opposite? Or is it making everybody come to sort of like more of a common sound? Might that be an effect, or is it the other way? Or are people learning about things they didn't know about before, like
That's
different?
interesting.
Well, I think for me, like I came from like a very different background. Like I grew up playing like jazz and funk. So like coming here and learning country, like how to play straight and how to really lock into like a rock feel has been really valuable for me. And I think that it really is increasing the education of the town to like, because I mean, and also I get to play with bingyman, which is like African soukous music. So it's like in one town you have like reggae, soukous, country, rock, blues, free jazz, hip hop, and so it really is an expansion rather than a homogenization, I would think.
Cool. Now you've been around and played in various places. Is that unique of Fairfield, or is that something that's pretty common when you have a town of artistic minded people?
Well, I think that the arts in general are all based in relationships. So everyone's always like, even when you read about, I mean, the top guys like Stevie Wonder will have Prince come and sit in on his album, and everyone's always wanting to play with the people that turn them on and they're excited about, and that's like really cool because not only does it increase the community of musicians, but it also like diversifies a possible monotony in the way that you sound, because you can like, okay, so we can have Arthur Leland come and add some spice to like what we normally do.
Yeah.
And that's like really cool.
Are there players who you haven't jammed with yet that you're thinking, one of these days we're going to get them up on stage?
Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Derek.
I mean, any day. We're just
He's
waiting.
gonna call us.
He hasn't
Susan
called
Tedeschi.
Derek Trucks.
Any day. Is that a pun?
Derek Trucks did come to Fairfield via the telephone a few months ago. Didn't he, David? I think David, didn't you do the transcription for that one?
Yeah.
I think he did. Why don't
Thanks
talk?
for getting us the station ID too.
Oh, we got a station. Oh, right. I'm old. I forget things. There's no brain cells left. I feel like this is the point of the show where let's flip it out of the art and let's flip it into the day gigs. What in Fairfield? What are you doing other than? And it's fair to also ask if you are creating all day. Is that your process? But do you also have day gigs in addition to being musicians and writers and all that?
You just want to sweep through here?
Yeah, let's sweep through again.
Yeah, I've always had a day job. I've been playing music for over 20 years now, and in this last couple of years, I worked for Overland Seasonal, Overland Sheepskin. I worked for Livingstone's Fellowship north of town, just do sound for them and video editing, and got to have paychecks coming in. But if I had my druthers, I'd play music with these guys and do nothing else.
Nice.
Wouldn't that be our dream?
Yeah.
I run a hotel and a bar and a restaurant in Cedar Rapids.
Oh, very cool.
It's
Oh,
nice.
Nice.
We play there 3 nights a week.
If we could afford the gas money.
The old Holiday Inn style thing. Is that still pretty much? Yeah, that's got to be pretty much the paradigm still, right? When a hotel has a band playing on a Saturday night, it's the
Yeah, no,
house
that's
band.
really gone away. It used to be that the hotel that we now run used to be a showcase in the 80s and into the 90s of bands and live music. And now it's just, live music is very underfunded. And especially a place like Cedar Rapids, there's so much going on that, for instance, there's never a cover charge anywhere. So that bands get paid a lot less, and it's difficult because there's so many talented musicians up there, just like there are in Fairfield, and it's
Thus everybody
has a day job.
Not
everybody, but
$3. I'm not paying $3.
That's robbery. David, are you creating most of the day these days, or?
I'm I do drum lessons.
Drum lessons.
And then I also just got a new job at the Bluefish clothing company. So I'm making clothes, which is really cool because it's kind of like silent drumming. I get 2 sticks and I just get to paint all day.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really awesome. And then I do book indexing to fill in the gaps, which is, pretty tedious and like accounting of the underworld, but it's cool.
It'd be fun to watch. Could you do something for us?
Some indexing?
Bob Ross style? No,
maybe during a drum solo.
We could put the squirrel on your shoulder. Steve?
I'm a painter as well, but of a different sort. I paint houses, and I do a little bit of drywall, but not very much.
But you don't do windows, as you mentioned.
I don't
off
do
camera.
windows.
Yep.
But the ultimate goal, of course, is to support my family with music. I'll be
Nice.
really happy when that day comes. And right now it's a struggle between, taking care of the bottom line and also promoting our music as much as possible, so I can get to that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it makes one a bit tired at moments.
Are you playing pretty much nonstop? Because you're also playing your own gigs, right?
Yeah, I do some solo shows and some duo shows, and
Who you do the duo shows with?
I do those with Tim Carey most of all. He plays bass.
And he was originally part of the band,
That's right.
right? Yeah. And then he took off because.
Rumor was it was a girl.
Kidding.
Personal reasons. Was that the right answer?
That's it.
And Kevin.
I do design work, web design, graphic design, and lately a lot of hands-on building stuff, greenhouses, and installing
Chicken coops.
chicken coops, installing sustainability.
Really, are you working in association with folks in town with sustainable living?
Yeah,
concepts?
with folks in town, Sustainable Research Institute, most recently, yeah.
Anything with MUM?
No,
Yeah.
not yet.
Yeah, I don't. It's like we've got a sustainable living community, but I'm not. You can't put your finger on what it is.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, isn't that how it feels? It feels like yes, we absolutely have something going on in that
We're
realm.
just all trying to figure it
Right.
out, I think. You know
Because
what I
it's
mean?
still it's still a nondescript thing. But on the other hand, Well, that's actually a good question. Do you see that, since it's the Jefferson County Green Band, what do you see this as a sort of a town that's trying to be a model town with that? With the concept of like, recycling, eco, sustainable living, solar power, all that. Do we have enough of that going on so we could brag about that at this point?
I never thought about it that way, but that's truly, I think, what it is. It's a very good model.
Yeah. I see more recycling in this town than I think I've ever seen anywhere. Of course, it is a smaller town.
Solar-powered radio station.
And what?
Yeah.
There's a solar-powered radio station here?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You don't know
I'm a
anything
Fairfield.
about that,
When did that happen? Is there a solar-powered television station in town? Oh, we won't go there. No, sorry.
We just did a show in Ankeny where the stage was actually powered by bike. So I feel like that it's kind of becoming a trend in music and art too, where people are much more conscious of recycling, even using old materials or found objects for percussion, or I think there's ways to be more conscious and environmental.
Finally, now you see recycling bins at festivals and stuff. But I remember for so long, it looked like a gold mine to me, walking around with all the people throwing their cans and bottles everywhere.
Yeah.
How come nobody's here just raking it in?
I remember there was a time when I was living in California, people, snobbily throw their 5-cent bottles in the garbage. And it isn't like I was diving. I wasn't dumpster diving. But I was, when I see things like that, I'd be putting them in bags, and I brought them to, I'm like loaded down, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to like do this week's shopping with all this. And I bring it to the cashier and at the store, and she gives me a $7. Wait a minute, what happened here? And I think that's sort of, I guess that's sort of what the thing is. You have to have your system down so that it's a more efficient or whatever.
We would love to have someone donate a biodiesel bus to the Green Band.
There you go.
I was just gonna say,
anyone who would like to donate that.
Perhaps solar powered Crew FM. We have a bus over there.
We want to be totally green.
Unfortunately, what I'm going to bring up here has to do with the bikes and the supplying energy for the bands on stage. That's a beautiful thing. It really is when you look at it, because it's like, you know what? Who the heck with it? Who needs your energy? But on the other hand, it also brings up a sore point, which is funding for the arts is the first thing that gets cut. Obviously not sports, because that's the community contributes more in other ways with that. But it's music. It's always the arts. It's always music. But I would say music even before painting and sculpture and all of that. I think that's like, if the school even has that. Most schools, it seems like, don't even have that kind of department. But music is the first thing that goes.
And yet you can't imagine life without it.
It's essential, and not only is it essential, but
I think that has to do with standards. Like, I think that people consider music more like a mathematical discipline, and it's taught as something that's hard and something that has to be played correctly, whereas arts and crafts, you can just mess around with crayons and markers, whereas like doing that with instruments is considered taboo. And I think that's a major cultural problem, that music is not taught as something that's experimental and something that's language-based. It's taught as like this binary, either you play classical music or you're wasting your time.
Get out of the garage and do something with your life.
But even beyond that, even in schools, you're right. That's perfect, because my feeling is that's where the rigidity of piano lessons, the rigidity of whatever lessons, is what turns the young kid off, because the young kid doesn't know how to get into the biometrics of it, but biometrics of it. But the whole treating it like it's a science as opposed to something that's coming out. When you look at all the cultures where how the music has developed, and I don't mean by the time you're reaching classical composer stage, but when early cultures are playing music, experimenting with music, it's all coming from a different, undisciplined place. The discipline happens when you're trying to play with other musicians, not when you're.
And it also happens. It's a oral tradition in most, and I'd say 90% of the indigenous cultures, if not more. Yeah. You learn it in a social context through ear. You're not like given sheet music and then say, "This is music, now play it." Right. It's like you learn by emulating with your ears, and I think that's a major shift that has to happen too. Is it needs to be taught orally, and like with the ears rather than, becoming like a karaoke.
Yeah, blues is a perfect example of that. How do you you can learn aspects of the blues, you can learn like concepts that apply, but you can't feel and play the blues unless you're feeling and playing the blues.
Right.
No.
Well, I just saw this DVD called Effortless Mastery. Have you seen that?
No.
And he talks about how, like, if there was, like, hip-hop taught at universities, and, like, if the professor, if you brought some rhymes into the professor and he's like, these lyrics aren't angry enough. There was cop killing wasn't mentioned once in this. Go home and rewrite it. You know, it's like there isn't that kind of, like, freedom to break tradition.
Yeah.
Because it's taught in schools where it's evaluated in terms of what grade you get.
Or by comparing it, to
Right. So it's
to
like
everything else.
the true arts that are functioning
Yeah.
right now, like, are breaking tradition as well as honoring it. And I think that the more stagnant forms only honor the tradition, and then you get into copyist thinking rather than innovation.
Right, at my Catholic school upbringing, Ms. Honer, of the Honer harmonica family, or musical instruments family.
Calling her out.
I think she's passed on. Mildred Honer, hi Mildred. But she used to teach very rigidly. She used to come in with the giant. I don't remember what the organ was now, but a little portable organ. She used to come in, and we used to all have to sing these ridiculous songs from the books. Mm-hmm. Nobody likes the songs. Nobody was learning how to sing. I think nobody was caring to learn to sing from that kind of rigidity. Now, to her credit, though, she had a choir on the side. She oversaw New York City Kids Opera. And she did incredible works there. She was able to elevate these kids to, like, Robert Paleo at the time was one of the big voices on stage. He had Lincoln Center, he played Lincoln Center and all sorts of places. The point is that in order to reach that level of fame and that level of musical mastery, you kind of do have to have that foundation. But to your point, it's a musical mastery and a level of success based on the old paradigm. In other words, if you want to do that specific thing, you're going to have to go through all of this. And I think that's where the problem is that in order to reach that the summit of whatever they're projecting, your success is going to go to. And the need to be able to read music, the essentials, the need to be able to read music, the need to be able to have your voice be strong on a high C or whatever you're trying to hit as a child or as a grown. You do need that kind of training, but not everybody wants to be that person. People want to be able to feel their music. When you hit the saxophone, you're not thinking, right? You're not thinking. You're not saying. You may say for a moment, "What key is this in?" and then go from there. But I'm pretty sure I feel what you're playing.
But I had the foundation of the learning to build on.
You do.
I mean, the music theory in college and the instrument lessons growing up, and there was music, and I give lessons too, and I like to make sure people are aware of both. The structure and the academic side of it is helpful, but it is about feeling, and I usually tell students to feel when you're playing. That's the only point of the enjoyment of music. If you're not feeling anything, then people listening to you are not going to feel anything, and you can get worked up in emotion. Bring some emotion into it.
So there is a need, I guess, in to express yourself. Maybe,
but it could be orally. It could. There's other ways than just.
Than the notation, the exact precise notation.
Nobody ever slapped my hand with a ruler. I didn't go
Catholic
to that
school?
kind of school.
You didn't go to Catholic school, buddy.
I also think that it's taught.
Yeah.
It's taught too.
Let me tell you a thing.
Too complex. It's too complex. It's not simple enough. It's almost like it's taught in a way where you skirt over many, many, many different subjects and genres and principles instead of, like, fully immersing yourself in one thing. Like, if you go to, like, I studied tabla in India.
Yeah.
And you'd get, like, one pattern for, like, a month.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
And that when you do it like that, because the theory over there is if you practice one thing, you're practicing everything. And that's not how it's thought of here, where it's like you have to scatter yourself in order to feel productive. Where it's, if you really focus in on one thing over and realize that you have an infinite amount of time to perfect it. And that's another thing, like, people feel pressured to succeed and pressured to sound good and pressured all this unnecessary stuff.
You have to scatter over a bunch of stuff in order to feel productive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And you actually accomplish the opposite thing. Like, you're really terrible at a bunch of different things.
Yeah. What did Victor Wooten tell us with the groove? What was his? It's all in the.
Oh, there's no wrong notes. He would play all of the wrong notes,
Just don't lose the groove.
but he would groove it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's one note, you're playing the wrong notes. Just hold on to that feeling and that groove, and go with it. And if we all paid more attention to that, it would reach people on a much deeper level.
What about when you look at some of the Van Halen? I mean, I think of the overtones that were coming off of that had nothing to do with the key. It's like listening to that and I'm going, that's great. I'm loving that. Who are some of your favorite acts that are out there right now? They could be Fairfieldian, but hi Fairfield. But they could also be anywhere, or major acts. Let's start at that end. No, let's start at this end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned Derek Trucks earlier. We had a chance to see him and Susan Vesey this last summer.
Yeah.
That was amazing. But before that, we were turned on to their music, and there's something he has to say in every single note, and you could listen to, or I could listen to his playing all day long, and it's you don't get tired of it because I don't know what it is. It's so deep, and it's just one note, but it's so clean and pure, and you know what you of course know what I'm saying. It's So, but then I like bluegrass a lot. We have a radio show also.
And what?
And it's the most eclectic.
What station would that be on?
On the Crew, yeah.
Solar-powered Crew FM.
Happy hour every Friday,
That's
from
right.
5 to 8.
5 to 8.
From 5 to 8. Now, we almost had a certain young family member call.
Yeah.
And
Waiting
it
for
just didn't
Neil.
happen. We were waiting for Godot, waiting for Neil.
Yeah.
We had Neil Young. We had Neil Young. We had two opportunities. One was they stood us up, basically, because Neil had run out of energy at a certain point. He just didn't want to make any more calls. But the second time, we could have had him, and that was when I was in New York. And we had, there was a show on Crew where it's like, this is not a derogatory, I don't mean this in any derogatory way, but we were kind of having a little fun with it. It's like, there was the little old ladies coming from, whatever town they were coming from, and they were on their way over, and their show was on at exactly the same time as suddenly Neil was available. Like, I got the call as in, Neil's ready in 20 minutes, what about you? And I'm like, I call Crew, I'm in New York, and I say, we got to clear out whatever that is, and then Corey Hickenbottom, a frequent member also of Fairfield 2.0, gets on the phone and he goes, "Oh, Mike, we have a couple of little old ladies coming in to read at that time." And I said, "I don't care about those little old ladies. We haven't Neil yet." No, I didn't say that at all. But we had to cancel it because I didn't want to be rude to the little old ladies. So it was like Neil Young or little old ladies. It's like, all right.
Good morals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait, you could never pre-record it? Or record it?
They were going to use the same room. They were coming to record their show, as opposed to doing a live
I'm with
gig.
you. Who cares about those little old ladies?
I was.
Yeah, you're right. Get him back. Get the
They'd
whistle.
understand.
Oh man.
I just heard a story about Neil Young.
Well, go ahead.
Steve Giacomini, the owner of Cafe Paradiso.
Cafe
Paradiso. He really likes Neil Young, and he told me this story about he would hire the best musicians, and then they would show up and he'd have them play a different instrument.
Oh yeah.
And then he'd start recording before they were ready on an instrument they never played with.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like perfect. Or he would 10 minutes before a huge show, he would take away everyone's set list and all the lighting cues. And just be okay, just improvise. Yeah. And that kind of that freshness and that fear kind of feeding each other into new levels of innovation. Really cool.
Yeah, improv. That stuff normally happens in jazz. I know that. Who's it? Jack DeJohnette, and folks like that do weird things like that. They'll say, "Okay, now let's switch it up," and they'll do that. And it's like, yeah. But what's great out of that is that you then see the musician, whoever the switched musician's instrument, you see them suddenly looking at the instrument in a way where they've at least fiddled on it before, but they're looking at it from this perspective of, okay, I've got to be good because I'm who I am. What am I going to do? And they usually hone in on, you tell me if I'm wrong, they usually hone in on 3 or 4 or 5 notes that they know they can get on this thing, and they play the heck out of those notes.
Really play it.
And that's the key.
Keep it simple.
Just keep it that big.
Yeah.
And you're good.
Yeah, that's cool.
What are your, we mentioned Cafe P before, as in Cafe Paradiso. we only have 3 places in town to get coffee, as we mentioned off camera earlier. Cafe P, of course, Revelations, and 2nd Street. Don't you think this town deserves at least 4 or 5 more places? Right?
Yeah, we need another coffee shop.
we need another coffee shop. I
But
think
you can get it at Everybody's and at Hy-Vee, though.
Oh, that's right. Everybody's is another one. So
And
that's the
also
4th.
BP. And also the beauty shop.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
well, beauty shop is in the afternoon, though, right?
Right.
You have
So
to
there's
wait. You have to
7.
wait your turn. So there's 7. Okay. And what about the place that has the Mexican food?
Hacienda?
No,
That's
it's a gas station.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, that's
BP.
BP.
That's the BP. Okay.
Just University, it used to be the University Amico, I think, or something.
Yeah.
That was the spot
was
in the
the
morning.
spot.
Yeah, it seemed like a major hub. Maybe it still is.
Remember Sadie's,
I started going there again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
remember
bring it
Sadie's
back.
Bagels?
Yeah. Bagels.
I used to work
Bagel
there.
shop. That's what we need, a good
Yeah,
breakfast
that was
place.
A great
And
breakfast
breakfast
place.
place.
Now you guys had. I'm
Not a coffee shop. We got it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. No, this is great. Like a diner, maybe like one of those nice.
I was
silver-
thinking health food
We
diner.
used to have that.
I heard. What
Yeah.
was the, how
Yeah,
how in the
Fairfield
world did
family.
something like that
Used to be the
close?
Blue Moon.
Okay.
Something like that. Remember the Blue Moon?
Mhm.
And then it turned into
Yeah.
Fairfield Family Restaurant, the big silver.
Right, and the sign is even
Looked
still
like
out there.
No, they tore it down.
That's
They're
Jason-
now building a new restaurant.
All right, that's Jason Strong, cameraman, director, producer. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Jason Strong. But yeah, we need a diner here, and especially and it needs to be open all night.
I think like a local health
'Cause there's
food
no-
diner.
A local health food diner.
Because
Can they-
diner food, but it's like healthy.
Can they have both?
Has that ever
Yeah, at
happened?
least
Can they
that
have 2
option.
grills?
At least that option, yeah.
Yeah, because you have a couple of places where the kids are going in for breakfast. You know, like we used to do, like 1 and 2 in the morning. Like I guess what.
You can't do that here.
You can't do that here. They're not doing it at all.
Haven't been able to.
But like we used to do. You can't do that, and it's you're having a
Except Torino's.
Torinos. Well, how
Yeah,
late
that's
are
the
they
late
open
night.
till?
They're up until like 2:30 on the weekends.
Oh, there you go. There are my eggs and bacon right there. But that's what. Oh, I don't eat bacon or eggs. No.
Oh, gave it away.
But I feel like I do feel like some of that spark. I mean, we have great cafes, and we have a couple of these other places. But we need Italian food. What about Italian food? Right? One
Okay,
place
I'm
that
with
had a
you.
great Italian
All
menu.
right, yeah.
I'm with you.
My focus was on sushi for so many years, and then we have that. So
Yeah,
I could
it's time to
shift.
move on.
We have
I
sushi.
could
Like, put your
shift.
attention. Put your attention on Italian food.
Okay.
Set the
Let's go.
Italian of the group. And of course, with good food comes good music, right? Well, I'm making a leap
Ideally.
here. It has nothing to do with but the good music in town. The good music in town. You guys said you guys have played with everybody else. Not to say that whoever you're not going to mention isn't incredible and a great act to see. Aka Trillionaires, Aka Subterranean, All Stars, etc. But what acts in town are impressive to you? That's a cool of your compadres. Who when you play Sharon Bousquet. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's another band you're in. We
Yeah.
disqualified.
That's right.
Disqualified. Okay.
Man,
Joey Del Rey,
Joey Del Rey.
Zach, and
Zach. Yeah.
Surgery.
Whenever Apocalypse, so Tantric Boys Choir gets together, I don't know if that happens.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of that. James Moore on guitar.
Are they threatening to get together again?
We were talking about resurrecting our Tuesday night jazz night, so that might
Yeah.
start again.
See, I used to live above Cafe Paradiso, where that would happen every Tuesday night, and it was great to hear that coming through my floor.
Oh, see, this
I also like the do-it-yourself kind of punk thing that's happening over at the beauty shop in St. Mary's. Like, it's really inspiring. It's not necessarily the music that I listen to, but the energy and the passion that these guys have is like really contagious and impressive.
Yeah, let's give it up for the kids because the Rabelais.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who works harder other than you? Who works and Ed? Actually, all you guys. Who works harder than a kid in that age group than them? I don't know
They're
anybody,
amazing.
and it's not fair to leave anybody else out because you've got the Hurlins and the Cohens, and you've got all sorts of really like on the bubble. They're acts that are like you don't know what is going. Something is bound to break, quote unquote. Something is bound to happen, but you just
Those are
gotta
the
have
best
to give it
ones
times. Yeah,
for me.
yeah,
Really.
yeah. We just sort of named. Then also Adrian Dowler, but
Yeah.
that's Trillionaires.
But also Trouble Lights with Phil Rabelais.
Oh, right, again, and Adrian and
Yeah.
Phil. So, and notice, again, the configurations, everybody playing on each other's stuff. Has anybody experienced a cooperative like that elsewhere other than Fairfield? Is anybody? I can't even
Yeah,
call.
Aspen Colorado actually has a lot of different bands that everybody's in, it seems like. And Des Moines, I know of a few bands that are, in each other's bands and stuff like that.
The blues
But-
scene in Cedar Rapids. There's
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of
Everybody's
rock and roll,
cross-pollinating.
Blues
Iowa
for sure,
rock and
yeah,
roll
blues
Hall of
music,
Fame
yeah.
guys playing with.
Well, and
with
also,
each other.
funnily enough, when I was in LA, it took me a long time to find it, but there's like a really big indie rock scene there.
Yeah.
And like everyone is playing with everyone, and
Yeah.
there's like a really supportive,
Yeah.
like underground community there. Like because it seems like kind of glossy LA does and entertainment based on the like what you read about and what you hear, but
Yeah.
then all the underground stuff is incredible.
Yeah, I would say from loving that underground stuff and frequenting them and trying to figure out what the deal is on what to do with some of these bands, I had to back off because it's just too much and But the cool thing there though is that they are very cooperative. I would say it's more of a co-op situation than anything else because they're also, I have to say from firsthand experience, from feeling this and watching this, they are competitive too. And maybe that's because a lot of them are transplanted New Yorkers and all of that. There's a lot of competitiveness going on there too.
Well, I think
and
it's also
maybe healthy. I don't know.
I think it's also just because there's literally when you're there, you're playing a 30-minute set with 5 other bands. And you don't get paid unless you have a following. So it's like there is this real intense drive to be better and to outshine the other bands.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of like a ridiculous scene in terms of making money unless you really break through.
Well, San Diego, Jason Mraz, all those people. I mean, and Chris Teal and the Nickel Creek, the band he was in. That whole community. It's a slightly conservative. I mean, it's very funny because it's like an indie community, but there is a slight. Not Jason. Jason's pretty liberal, but you've got a lot of these conservative sort of thoughts. So you have a little Christian fundamentalism even going on in a lot of these places, and yet you still have a very vibrant. It doesn't matter the religion, politics, none of that matters. Everybody's making music, so everybody kind of like they're speaking on that level, and I did notice that in a couple of pockets. Here. We don't have competition. We have We have zero competition. I've never seen anybody say, "Oh, that band's going on tonight" or whatever. I've never seen that. Never heard that. I've never experienced a town that's not had that ever. Right. Am I wrong about this, or can you guys even come up with a thought? It was like, "Oh yeah, I remember a couple of years ago that these guys were like real jealous of whatever." There's
No,
nothing,
I mean the
none
only
of that.
competition is you have so much music going on that on the same night, you find out that you've planned something that there's this great act coming into town, and you're like,
that's the hard part is you can't
Yeah,
go
there you
see
go.
I would have
everybody.
loved to have seen them.
And also, we're like we said, we're in all these battle of the bands these days, and even that we go to, and one of the best parts of doing those is meeting the other people and
Right.
making friends and connections and stuff like that.
Yeah, nice. All right, I think we have like a minute left, so let's wrap it up. Any, just real quick, like a couple of words or a sentence, quick. Any advice? We were talking about the kids earlier. The kids. We got any advice for the kids?
Don't quit, and if you get a unit that works, keep playing with them. That's one thing that we've done right. We've gone through all kinds of things, but we've come so far because we just kept at it and got through the hurdles.
Nice. Nice.
The more people you play with, the better you will get. And play with as many different styles as you can.
Yeah. Cool.
That's the proven method in Fairfield.
I'd say if you're taking lessons and you don't like the songs or the music that your teacher is teaching you, then express yourself and try and learn something else or get a different teacher, because you gotta love the taste of the lessons you're getting.
This is the first answer like that I've gotten. I mean, there are elements of what you guys have said so far, with the exception of this. I've never heard that said by anybody that I've interviewed with that question. That's great.
I also think with the onset of computers that it's important to learn the softwares, learn the recording techniques, learn how to use the computer as a tool. But the main thing that will make composition and using the computer effortless and fun is like being devoted to an instrument. Like I think it's absolutely crucial to study an actual physical instrument, and that will just completely, because I see so many musicians that devote themselves to the computer that then become frustrated because they're a slave to it. But if you learn an instrument, then you operate the computer and it serves you.
Isn't your body your greatest instrument?
Yeah, definitely. But I think like singing, absolutely for everyone.
Yeah.
But then also like an actual instrument.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you think?
Don't listen to your mother.
Just tell her. So another I never heard for you.
I love my mom. No,
Anybody here?
she used to say, "Oh, you're tone deaf, just like your mother." It's okay. Our whole family's that way. Turns out I wasn't, but it took me a lot of years to figure that out. But it was finding. Oh, you can do that. You can do things that you love. Oh, I don't have to learn that instruct. I can do what I love, and then it doesn't matter if somebody else likes it. But it turns out other people love the stuff that you love because you're passionate about it. So
Nice.
that's easy.
Nice. And a band passionate about their music and about music in general, the Jefferson County Green Band. Thank you all for coming by today, and now we're going to hear a little music. So let's just get to that, and I will stop yapping. Fairfield, thank you again for another exciting episode of Fairfield 2.0. Be sure to keep the cards and letters coming so that we can keep the show on the air. Does anybody send cards and letters anymore? What is that? It's like email, Facebook us,
Be sure to include
Twitter
cash.
us, send cash. There you go.
My fax machine.
We'll split it. The cash. Thank you again, and let's listen to these guys. Jefferson County Green Band.
Baby, I got something for you. Won't you come in here and see what it is? I didn't have time to wrap it, 'cause I'm just so excited about it. It's my heart, it's my heart, it's my heart, it's for you. Let's put them both on the table, see what they do. Look at them there, dancing and laughing, spinning and grinning, splishing and splashing, burning and a turning and a falling in love. Your heart is such a beautiful dancer, sweet light on your feet, sweet romancer. You're making me dizzy, easy does it. You're giving me butterflies in my stomach. Move your body close and slow. I whisper in your ear so soft and low about a few things I know. Wonderful, I want you and I love you so. Oh, let's sleep until about noon or so, till that sun comes in our west window. Then we can roll around as long as you like, rolling and sharing all the love in our lives, all the love in our lives, all the love in our lives, all the love in our lives. Move your body close and slow. I whisper in your ear so soft and low about a few things I know. You're wonderful, I want you and I love you so. Oh, let's sleep until about noon or so, till that sun comes in our west window. Then we can roll around as long as you like, rolling and sharing all the love in our lives, all the love in our lives, It's my heart is for you. That's sweet, guys. That's sweet. Yeah. Oh, roll around. I remember fishing with Paul, we go out, maybe catch nothing at all. Load up the boat, go home and unload the boat, and just sit for a while. I remember those times like it was about an hour ago. That's back when the hands on the clock, they seemed to move so slow. Don't wake me up, 'cause I'm dreaming. 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 Running around with a girl named Sarah. If we weren't outside, we were inside. We were together all summer. But she lost her mind and left me behind, just like she did the last time. Well, I still consider her a taste of my home. Whoa, whoa. Don't wake me up, 'cause I'm dreaming. 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 When I grow up, I wanna be a park ranger. When I grow up, I wanna win the Bass Classic. When I'm old enough, I wanna be a drag racer. Well, I guess I just turned out to be a professional dreamer. whatever. I was in trouble all the time. But I can still hear my grandma yelling at me. She's wondering where her salt shaker is. It's with me in the garden eating all her tomatoes. I just couldn't help myself. Such salty and juicy, tasty tomatoes. Don't wake me up, 'cause I'm dreaming. Don't wake me up, 'cause I'm dreaming. Don't wake me up, 'cause I'm dreaming. Don't wake me up, 'cause I'm dreaming of dreaming of dreaming of dreaming of One, two, three, four. I got them walking blues and I got 'em bad. You know, a driver's license is something that I once had. So now I'm pounding the pavement instead of burning rubber, yeah. Now I got me a girlfriend, she drives me all over town. Said I got me a girlfriend, she drives me all over town. And I just try to keep my mouth shut so she'll stick around. I got them walking blues and I got 'em bad. You know, a driver's license is something that I once had. So now I'm pounding the pavement instead of burning rubber, yeah. Burn rubber, Mr. Riley. Go there. Now she's driving pretty crazy, but we make it on time. Said she's driving pretty crazy, but we seem to make it on time. But if she misses one more turn, I think I'll lose my mind. I got them walking blues. I got them walking blues. Well, them walking blues, well, they wear out all of your shoes.